we have one of the top, I would say, team leaders in the world when it comes to real estate sales teams. We've got one of the best coaches, influencers, the guy that's responsible for bringing me into the industry, Jeff Glover. Appreciate you jumping on with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Brandon.
For sure. So let's talk about what all the headlines are talking about, which is the real estate market as we head into 2023. There's a lot of headlines, Jeff, as you know. The housing market is crashing, doom and gloom.
Mhm.
And, I'm curious from your perspective. I guess my first question is, do you believe that we're headed for another 2008, or do you think it's different?
I definitely think it's different than 2008. We are certainly going to see a drop in values. The amount, we can get to in a second. I guess I do have an idea of what that might look like, but there's so much good happening in the overall economy compared to 2008 to 2009, 2010, where we had a lot of issues with financing, with companies filing for bankruptcy. I mean, as you know, the city of Detroit filed for bankruptcy. I don't even know how a city could file for bankruptcy.
Right.
And we're not seeing, obviously the unemployment and everything is still pretty strong. So those are all issues that we had then, and I certainly think there's going to be some of it. I think the U.S. for sure is actually going through um, a situation where they're trying to figure out who's going to be going back to work and when, and there's still a lot of corporations that aren't back to work yet. So I think that's going to adjust people's lives and what they're interested in and what they want to put time and energy into, and I think that could change some things, and that's a factor that's not really being talked about too much. But as far as the actual real estate market goes, normal stuff. I mean, maybe a decline of 10%, 15%, but nothing super drastic.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we do a housing market update every Friday, and from all the data that we see, that's what you just said is exactly in line with what we see. A 10%
Mhm.
correction probably makes sense.
Yeah.
You touch a lot of agents. You have a big influence with your team and
Hmm.
at your company, and
Hmm.
with your coaching, the work that you do in your coaching business. When you are communicating the forecast for those agents moving forward in 2023, we talked about maybe a correction of 10%. Is there anything else that you're sharing with them when it comes to the housing market specifically? And then we'll get into like more sales and tactical things in a minute.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
with the housing market, or is there anything else that you're sharing with them so that maybe they can calm down a bit? And I don't know about you, because I've got a lot of agents kind of freaking out. They've never been
Hmm.
part of a downward
Hmm.
market. They're just getting into
Yeah.
this business. So what are you
Yeah.
sharing with them?
Well, here's the deal, and we've got history to back this up. When there's a decline in sales and a drastic decline in sales, because that is something that's happening right now. I don't know if you pay attention to nationwide MLS stats, but I know the local ones, and the local ones just said we had 27% less sales this past October than we had compared to in October a year ago.
Sure.
Pendings are also down 27%. So that's actually pretty drastic. Now that could be a one or 2 month fluke. I don't know. We need to see really 3 or 4 months for something to be a trend. Regardless, when we have a dip in sales, when we have doom and gloom about what's going on in the market, in history, you always have a greater percentage of agents that drop out of the business than you do decline in sales. And so the most recent is the one that we know, which is from 2006, which was really our last peak, to 2012, which was our last bottom. In that 6 year time frame, we went from 1.5 million realtors to just under 900,000. So about 50% of the industry, 45% of the industry was gone. And that doesn't even include the people that kept their license active and stayed members of NAR. Those are NAR numbers, by the way. So that's not even taking into consideration the people that kept their license active and mentally checked out.
Sure.
So if you factor that number in, then for sure it's 50 to 60% of the industry was gone. And sales, although they did drop from 2006 to 2012, they only dropped at about 35%. And that was a drastic decline in sales, and that was a drastic decline in the economy. But there was still more to go around for those that stuck it out. So No, I mean, the message that I'm giving to agents right now is that, this is our time. This is where the cream rises to the top. This is where there's actually more available for those that want to work and that want to show up every day. The challenge is going to be, mindset because of all the negativity that's going around. But, that's a whole nother discussion.
Well, that's a great point. I mean, literally, that was kind of it's a great segue into, and I agree with you 100%, by the way. When I look at the numbers, and I looked at that NAR membership count, that is exactly right. So do you believe that the drop off in agent count will be as big as that last one? Or do you think it'd probably be 25, 35% of the membership drop, something in that range?
I would say in 2023, I think we'll lose about 15 to 20% of the industry.
Yeah,
I do think it's very safe to say one out of every five realtors will be gone in 2023. So,
sure.
sure, that's a big number, but it's not as drastic as we saw before. And if sales are down 25 or 30%, well, then there you go. It's kind of running along that same line, and we don't know how much they'll be down yet, but what we're early numbers, at least we're seeing numbers in the 20s, and that's something you feel.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's talk about big opportunities, right? I love how the mindset, right? The messaging that you're getting across to your agents is there is an opportunity here for you and those that really want to double down, triple down on their skills and their mindset. What do you see as the biggest opportunities for agents as we look ahead into 2023, 2024? Because I remember, and I'll give some context to this question. One of the ways I found you, believe it or not, was an interview you did with Mike Ferry about how you did in 2008.
Yeah.
And you did really well in a market that arguably was the worst real estate market the world has ever seen ever. And
Sure.
so, I think you're right. I think that for the people that really stick this out, will have a great opportunity. What are some of the things that you're seeing that might be those opportunities for these agents?
Well, it's interesting because at that time, there was no social media,
Right.
so you couldn't become instantly famous on Instagram and Facebook just for being good with video and good with your content, if you will. Back then, there was really, and by the way, don't take that as I understand creating content is hard work. There's no doubt, but back then, your only options were to door knock, to cold call, to hold open houses, to work your database. And so I was one of the rare ones, Brandon, as you know, that was willing to get on the phone and call nonstop. And there was a lot of opportunities with expireds and with for sale by owners, and that was really the market. I had that part of the market cornered here in Detroit, and I did so for a long time. And that's because there were more opportunities, right? Our value as real estate agents increase as the market softens. So
100%.
therefore the opportunities are going to be there. And so that was the path I went down then. And I can tell you right now, that's still what we're teaching. That's still, when I look at our real estate team and where our business is coming from, we are anticipating a substantial increase in listings from expireds and for sale by owners in 2023. And, that doesn't mean we're not going to be focusing on creating good video content or helping our agents build their brands through social media and their database. And, we're definitely, taking advantage of everything that social media offers us today but we're not ignoring what we know is proven and works in a down market.
Yeah, and you just brought up something that was so good, and I don't know if the audience will catch that, but I want to bring that back up, which is another stat that I just was looking at the other day, which is exactly what you just said, Jeff, which is real estate commissions. The average commission rate in a hot market, that tends to go down. Why? Because you have these discount companies coming up. You've got these iBuyer companies coming up. But in a downward market, when a market shifts more to a buyer's market, as you just said, not only is there maybe more opportunities to get listings, more transactions, but the commission goes up because those companies, which to your credit, you always told me, as the market shifts more into a buyer's or a neutral market, the discount brokers get out of the business. The iBuyers get out of the business. And you're seeing that with Zillow. You're seeing that with Redfin. They're saying, we're out of that business. And so the commission ratio that a listing agent will charge should increase because our value proposition, to your point, should also increase as the market gets more difficult. Is that kind of what you were saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, the need for a true professional increases in a softer market, and consumers don't question a true professional's cost as much. They're still going to,
For sure.
the commission objection isn't going anywhere. They don't question it as much in a softer market.
Yeah, no, great point. And so let's just flip that then. Those are some opportunities. What do you think the biggest challenges will be? And one of them, I want to tee this up for you, that I'm seeing is when we look at how many agents got licensed in the last 20, 24 months, it's incredible, right? During the pandemic and all of that.
Yeah.
And these agents, as you know, probably better than anybody, they haven't had to grow the skill of pricing property, knowing the market. It's like they just listed at whatever price they want and they're getting 10 offers and they look like Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think pricing property will be one of the biggest challenges for these agents in the new market,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe you want to elaborate on that or any other bigger challenges that you see
No,
ahead.
I agree with you on that. One that I think we haven't seen yet, we don't know, is emotional intelligence.
Mm,
Because in the last couple years, the deals didn't fall apart,
that's a
right? The
great point.
the buyers were going to buy regardless. The appraisal came in low, we're going to pay the difference. Sellers, could get whatever they wanted, and they were happy. Like the transactions, even when they were bad, were still positive. In a normal market, in the market we're heading into, there's a lot of negativity from buyers, a lot of negativity from sellers. I mean, agents are already seeing it already. Deals fall apart because the home inspection revealed that the doorbell didn't work, and now you're dealing with trying to keep that deal together, and these are all I think we underestimate the people that get in this business, the level of emotions that we deal with from buyers and sellers that we haven't had to deal with in the last couple of years. And I mean, as well as I do, I mean, I've sat in one-on-ones with agents where they flat out can't deal with and handle the stress of the emotions of the business.
That's a
And
great point.
I think that's something that we're going to see more of, and that's what's going to cause people to say, "Yeah, you know what? The market was hot when I got in, but man, it's just too much to manage, and the emotions and buyers wanting this and sellers wanting that, and it's just not for me. That game's just not for me." And because they haven't really had to deal with that. I mean, that of course pricing will come into that too, because now with pricing, you have to go back and admit you were wrong, and how do you present that you were wrong, and why you were wrong, and why they should listen to you for the second or third or sometimes even fourth time. There's a lot of that stuff that's going on right now that we didn't have to deal with in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, those are some really good points. And you're right. No one's talking about the emotional IQ because you're
Mm-hmm.
right. No one's had to deal with it. It's a skill that we haven't had to focus on. And
Yep.
agents having to tell sellers the truth and agents having to confront sellers on price and agents having to
Yeah.
do all of that. They're not used to it. Before we move on to anything else, what is maybe one tactical thing, Jeff, that you teach your agents when it comes to pricing right now in a shifting market? Or is there anything that you find that's helpful for these agents to get their listings to the market at the right price?
Yeah. So you price listings based on the actives and the pendings.
100%.
You pay more attention to the actives and you pay more attention to the pendings than you do the actual solds. The actives will show you what your competition is doing, and the pendings will show you what buyers actually made a decision to buy right then and there. And as much as possible, I know that this wasn't something you did in the last couple of years. You try to get the listing agent to tell you what the pending listing sold for, and even if they won't tell you the price, at least get a guide. Say, hey, Mary, I see it's pending. I know you probably don't want to share the price because it hasn't closed yet. Can you tell me, did you have to reduce it? Was the negotiations tough? Did it sell for close to the asking price? Just get some information so that way when you're going to list a property, you can say, I spoke to the agent over here and we don't know the exact number yet, but here's what they're telling me, so that'll help you when you're presenting the actives and the pendings to potential sellers.
Super smart. Super smart. We're doing one thing now that we've tested and it's working really well. I'm curious if you guys have done it, is that we will either before or after the listing appointment show the seller, we'll schedule an agent preview, show the seller the active listings that they will compete with, because it's one thing for us just to tell them, right? And telling only goes so far. Are you guys having your agents show their, sellers their active competition?
Not yet, but it's funny you bring that up. We did that back in 2008,
Sure.
2009, 2010. You'd
It
set up a
helps.
bunch of previews and take your seller to see
Yes.
all the competition.
Yeah. So let's shift to brokers and teams. As we get into this new market, or this normal market is what I'm calling it.
Yeah, it's not. That's right. I think normal is the best way to describe
That's
it.
right.
It's not a soft market. It's not
normal.
a buyer's market. It's normal.
Yeah,
It's
so
supposed listing, like for instance, In a normal market, only 60% of listings sell in a normal market. In 2008, 2009, people don't remember this maybe, or people weren't around then. 50 to 60% of the homes went on the market did not sell. More than half that came on the market did not sell. In a normal market, it's like 60 to 70% of the listings sell, which means 20 or 30 to 35 don't sell. That's normal, right? Well, we
Yeah.
saw 110% of listings selling. I don't even know how you sell 110% of listings, but that's what we had in the last market. That's not normal at all. What's happening right now is very normal. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. That's a great point. I mean, so much so that we're having, I don't know what you're doing, but we're having our agents when they're building their business plans for next year, their listing taken, a listing sold. We do not let them go over 50% on the plan, right? Like
Yeah.
let's just plan for 50% conversion. And
Yeah.
what are
We're
you
not too
guys
far off.
doing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
30. So we're planning on
Yeah.
30% net selling.
And I
30% net
just
selling.
love building it worst case scenario,
Yeah.
like if you can build it on 50 and you do better, fine. Anyway, so when
Yeah.
we look at brokerages and teams with the market that we're heading into, are there opportunities or challenges that are obvious to you that you are looking forward to, or that you think team and broker owners should look out for?
Yeah.
What's your insight for leaders as we get into 2023?
Well, I mean, I would say this. I think that the teams, and this has been going on for the last couple of years, and this market will speed this process up. I think the teams need to start behaving more like brokerages if they want to recruit and attract and retain more agents. And I think that brokerages need to start behaving a little bit more like teams.
Yeah,
Like basically they don't need to meet in the middle. I think there can still be there still needs to be a difference in value because of the way splits and costs and everything are set up in the industry. But if you've got teams, I'm trying to stay within the frame here.
yeah.
If you got teams over here and you got brokerages here, like they've been for the last decade, they need to be like right here, right?
Makes
So,
total
so
sense.
your teams need to start being a little closer to the brokerage, and your brokerage need to start behaving a little bit more like teams. I think that's, and you're already starting to see that. We've seen that over the last couple of years. In fact, the term teamerage
That's right.
has came out over the last year or two, and I think that I'm not necessarily saying I was way ahead of the times because certainly there's things I could have done differently through the years. But when we set up our original team in Detroit, we really looked at what do the great brokerages do well and what do the great teams do well. And then let's kind of mix it. So that way, we don't deal with the turnover that most real estate teams deal with.
Well, and to that point, and I guess this will be a great segue in ending with this. You just did something really cool with your company to further solidify that last point. Can you talk about that and what the pivot you guys just made to even maybe double down on that thought?
Yeah.
I think it's called, what is it?
Yeah.
What are you guys calling it? Go ahead. Yeah.
Glover Agency. Yeah.
Love
We
it.
went from Jeff Glover and Associates Realtors, which it's been since 2008, to Glover Agency. And we did that because over the last 3 years, maybe the last 5 years, times goes by so fast, but really more intense the last three, we've been focusing on helping our agents build their brands within our brand. And so the best analogy I can give for that is, when we just look at Michigan, like, hey, I did everything I could to become known in the state of Michigan as it relates to Michigan real estate. Now I want Amy to become known for everything she can in Plymouth, Michigan real estate. I want Bob to be known for everything in Northville, Michigan real estate. I want Chris to be known for everything in Shelby Township, Michigan real estate. So over the last 3 years, we've really been helping our agents build their brands in their markets, in their communities, in their their main and main, their downtown, their community functions. And
Absolutely.
we've been very conscious about splitting the cost of client events with them, producing marketing that puts them front and center and kind of doesn't put me on it at all, or my name's a little small in the corner there. And so, yeah, the move we just made was to further solidify that it doesn't need to be about me. And although, yes, there will still be some mass advertising, in the name of the company, everything that we're doing right now is focusing on helping our agents build their own brands within ours.
Yeah,
Or outside of
I
ours.
saw your update, and I thought that was so exciting. I thought it was a great chess move. I thought it made a lot of sense. I'm excited for you guys. Have you gone into other states? Just I know KW can do the expansion thing. Have you taken Glover Agency or your team into other states, or is it still just in Michigan?
We haven't. Yeah, no,
Okay.
I've been so focused on
Yeah.
Glover
Glover
U and
U.
my own
Yeah.
business that it's never been. I always felt like even at 1,000 transactions a year in Michigan, I mean that's still only like 1% of the market share.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I felt like there's enough to go around here for at least now, and I've never really had interest in going outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Last one for me. As we kind of again look ahead and what the market looks like, what advice would you give to maybe a brand new real estate agent that might, they're getting their license right now,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to coach them up. And that coach could mean a bunch of different things, right? But you're going to mentor them. You're going to give them one piece of advice. They're going to have one dinner with you. What is it
Mm-hmm.
that you tell them that will help them succeed in 2023 and beyond?
Well, I mean, probably three things come to mind. So if that's all right,
Yeah, please.
time, skills, and exposure. Time being, you can't just show up when you want and go home when you want. You can't just go through the motions and do things when you feel like it, or because you were scrolling through Facebook and you saw something cool at that moment, so you decided to copy it or whatever. You need to have a regimented schedule to where you do the same things at the same times, day in, day out, no matter how boring or mundane it becomes. And it probably is a mix of, client generation activities in the morning, client servicing activities in the afternoon, and just sticking with a consistent schedule. Time is without question, one of the three. The second one would be skills. And that doesn't necessarily have to be sales skills, by the way. Now, sales skills should be a part of it, but skills on creating video, skills on writing content, writing good copy, creating good ads.
Knowing the
Not
market. That's what I say
right,
is one
knowing
of
the
the
market.
best
Right.
skills.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Not just everyone here, when they hear skills, they think
Yeah.
scripts and dialogues. And
Right.
don't get me
Right.
wrong. I mean, I'm a huge proponent of that, and we still are. And sales skills is like one of the five that I believe an agent should be focused on, which, we've been talking about that the last few years, but skills would be number two. And that's probably spending 45 minutes to 60 minutes a day
Sure.
on working on your skills, whether it be Monday is a scripts and role play. Tuesday is video content. Wednesday is writing good copy. Thursday is on your presentation and your delivery.
That's great.
Spending 45 to 60 minutes a day on your skills. And then the third thing would be exposure, making sure you're exposing yourself to high producers, getting to real estate conferences, going to events that are outside of your market, that are outside of your box, and getting exposure to people that have not just gone before you, but that are doing something right now at a high level, and people that are succeeding at what it is you want to succeed at.
Sure.
Getting around them and or the people that follow their system or follow them would be the third thing, exposure. So time, skills, and exposure, without question. I could spend an hour at a dinner table talking about those three.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Well, dude, I appreciate you very much. If agents are looking to get into coaching and they want to find out more about Glover U, where should they go?
Easiest place would just be gloveru.com. Everything's
Okay.
there. There's a ton of free resources. I mean, as we give a ton away for free. You don't even have to
Yes, you
spend a
do.
dime. And you can get videos and scripts and ideas and business plans and social media guides and all this stuff. gloveru.com would be the number one place.
And Glover Agency, are you guys still growing that team in Michigan? So if a Michigan agent's watching this and they want to talk to you about joining the team,
Yep.
where can they go?
Yep, they can go to gloveragency.com or liveunreal.com, which is our mission. Either one of those, liveunreal.com or gloveragency.com.
And if you guys are watching the replay, I'm going to put links to both of those underneath this video. You guys just click on them. I mean, Jeff was responsible for bringing me into the business, and you'd be in great, great hands. Whether you coach with them or you join them here in Michigan, either way, you'd be in great hands. So, Jeff, like always, really appreciate all your work that you do. Go
Thanks, Brandon.
Blue. Big game
Yes.
tomorrow. I hope they
That's
win.
right.
And, look forward to doing some more work with
All
you in
right.
the future.
Always good to see you, brother.
All right, take care.
See you, Brandon.
Bye-bye.